The same on TV.
We're live.
We are live. This is Senate Finance. If anyone is looking for us, we're in room 3. We had some exhaust odor issues in our room, so we have moved. We're going to start today with S230, which is the act relating to Medicare Advantage and Medicare supplemental insurance. And Sarah, the floor is yours.
Great, thank you. So Sarah Teachout, I am the Director of Government Relations for Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Vermont. And I'm here to talk about 230, your Medicare Advantage bill, but I did also include a memo. I'll refer to it, but you don't have to read it out if you don't want. And just some of the concepts are complicated and I felt it would be helpful to write them down. We just wanted to back up and tell the committee, or just reinforce that Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Vermont sells Medicare supplemental additional products of every kind in the marketplace. So we sell MedSup or Medigap products. That's some of what you've heard about. We do sell Medicare Advantage and we sell Medicare Part D. So all of the products available when someone retires, we sell, not one or the other. And then the other thing I wanted to say straight off, because I was looking at what we talked about a couple of years ago, I had to remind myself, Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Vermont offers a MedSup product that Vermonters can enroll in at any time with guaranteed issue. So we're the only carrier in the market that does this. We do this because of our longstanding position as the safety net carrier here in Vermont. And so we have 2 products that we sell. One that follows the federal guidelines for enrollment, which means you have to enroll in the product within 6 months of your retirement, turning 65, or another event. There's a series of events in the law. And that is lower priced because people purchase them when they're young and then stay relatively young and then stay in that product all the way through. And then we sell a MedSup product called Vermont Blue 65 that you can enroll from your hospital bed. We don't ask any questions. If you want to switch out of Medicare Advantage, if you don't like the other company's MedSup plan, whatever your reason, we take you into that product. We don't ask any questions. We don't ask about your health, nothing. And so it's more expensive because that product enrolls all kinds of people who may be switching for a health reason. But we do already here in Vermont have a solution for people who want to get out of Medicare Advantage.
Are you the only one who does that?
We are.
Yep. But you and MVP, well,
any company can do it. I think it's not, people look at the premiums for both, and I have them later down in the memo, and they say, why is this one so expensive? And that's the reason. So anyway, so I just wanted to start out with that because that's the solution to some of the problems that I think are trying to be addressed here in this memo that people forget about.
So forget that
there is already a MedSup product that anyone can enroll in.
What is that MedSup?
It's called Vermont Blue 65.
Okay.
And it's all, I can show you what they all are, but it's, how there's different alphabet.
Yes.
So we have A, C, D, F, and G.
So not B?
No.
Okay.
No.
Can I ask one more question? Yeah. Do you capture like general themes about why people are switching?
All kinds of reasons. I can remember I sit next to the people who sell these products up in the office, so I hear, little snippets of phone calls.
Yeah.
And we sold it to a woman who was 98 and her husband had passed away and she didn't know that she needed a supplement plan. So she didn't pay for one from 65 to 98 and she decided she needed the plan now.
Okay.
Maybe she doesn't need it, but anyway.
yeah.
So can you say more about the actuarial calculation that's done for them to sign up? Does it cost the same if you call when you're 70 or 80 or 90?
Yes. Yeah, it's a guaranteed issue. So the premiums we set for that plan are higher than the premiums for the plans that you can enroll in within 6 months of turning 65.
Because the risk is high.
They're pretty high,
Yeah.
but that is reflecting the fact that we have a lot of people choosing to enroll in those plans later on when they have health needs.
So do you have a plan that is sort of like the conventional plan that others have, that a person can go into but still have to meet medical requirements and so on? Or is this in lieu of that?
This is in lieu of that. We don't do any of the medical testing.
Okay.
So that's not
This is,
something.
it's guaranteed issue, you don't take, but people don't usually leave their Medicare Advantage plan unless they're starting to be disadvantaged by it.
I guess there's all kinds of reasons.
Yeah.
So then I'll just jump back I think we've already touched on this, but federal regulations require the decision to purchase your supplement to original Medicare within 6 months of turning 65 or when they have a qualifying event. And so the qualifying events are when you retire. So some people retire later than 65, so that's their qualifying event. If you have lost your employer health coverage, so you could have a job that is providing you with coverage and you lose it, you want to move into it, or if the health insurer leaves the marketplace. So that's another instance where people would move over to the Blue Cross plan. But so if you have a med sup plan and that carrier no longer wants to sell in Vermont, you're allowed to buy in with guaranteed issue.
Okay, at the same basic price? This is when you first.
If your carrier leaves the market, you get treated again as if you were 65.
Okay.
So there are certain, these are called qualifying events that the federal government allows you to roll in the plan at the cheaper price. So purchasers who miss the enrollment window or want to switch later have more limited options, and that's true, that's what you heard. And with higher premiums, because as they age, their care usually becomes more intensive and expensive. Any changes that the legislature makes here that allow some people to forego payments earlier and then switch into the health insurance later will increase the prices for everyone else. And this is the adverse selection we talk about all the time when it comes to health insurance. So Section 4 of your bill is the one that implements what you're calling the birthday rule. It's a little bit of a modified birthday rule, but it's a birthday rule only for people in Medicare Advantage products versus a broad one that you actually talked about 2 years ago in your committee. And so this would allow people to switch annually from a Medicare Advantage plan to Medicare Supplement with guaranteed issue, no financial penalties, and no premium adjustments for risk factors. We believe that this will risk increasing premiums for everyone across the Medicare Supplement market in favor of the few who want to choose to switch later on. We did a look in the Department of Financial Regulation study also a couple of years ago, and there are a handful of states in New England that allow annual or continuous open enrollment. And they usually pair these policies with more restrictive regulations, such as limiting transfers to a plan of equal or lesser value, so that would be actuarial value, and prohibiting transfers from Medicare Advantage plans. So that's what the states that have these open enrollment policies do. Every one of those states that allows those provisions have higher monthly premiums than Vermont for Medicare Supplement as a result. So we believe that this undermines the federal policy of encouraging Medicare eligible people to select their policy early and remain in the plan of their choice for life. The disincentives for switching are designed specifically to prevent adverse selection. So that's what we've already
the more we
done.
allow, as long as I'm happy on Medicare Advantage and I'm getting my teeth and my eyeglasses covered, I can do that until I'm sick. And I find out the coverage there isn't as good as I might get somewhere else. But if you switch, when this is open enrollment says, I can wait till I'm starting to have chest pains and get insurance, and I haven't paid anything in, and now I'm having my major heart surgery covered. So, yeah, I mean, insurance is all about pools and risk, and
Yeah, I mean, I hear that, and I think the intent of this bill would be to improve consumer information and protection. I mean, you know, what I hear from people is they're getting very glossy advertisements for Medicare Advantage.
Mhm.
And so on the one hand, you have people who feel like they might not make the most informed choice at the beginning, and that they're stuck with it for life is a pretty big challenge. And then two, that, you know, our healthcare system in so many ways is so fundamentally broken that if that's the healthcare they can afford, that's the healthcare they can afford. And that's a sad reality, you know, so I think something in between, some kind of constant ability to enroll, maybe that aligns with the
you can join us. We just
We're gonna
had
talk about
a health
Medicare
issue in our committee room, so we're here.
you know, like some set of, you can change over at this time or at this time, you know. And we're gonna hear from physicians and nurses about this as well on Friday, it seems like, but it just, you know, we're operating in a pretty broken system where people have incomplete information or very poor choices.
And if you call the number on Joe Namath's screen, I don't think we have any control over telling them what they have to reveal. There's a little area about not allowing brokers to get, you know, paid for this, because brokers, that's the one place we can control what kind of information has to be given.
That's true.
If you order it over TV, you're at extreme risk.
Right, so, I mean, a couple things I'll say, I said right up front, Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Vermont offers Medicare Advantage products. We only entered the marketplace 3 to 4 years ago, it's still a pretty new product for us. And the reason that we did that is, one, we want to offer Vermonters products in every section of the marketplace, and that was the one area you couldn't buy a Blue Cross and Blue Shield Vermont plan, you did have to go to some other company. We also believe that our Medicare Advantage product has a very robust network here in Vermont for people who want to see all of the providers that they can. It is not as restrictive as the plans that you get from other places with regard to, you know, what services are covered, the types of prior authorizations that are required, like all those kinds of things. We really feel like ours is a plan that reflects what people here in the state of Vermont want, and that's why we entered that marketplace.
You know, one of the things, because we hear a lot, is people don't understand the downside of these plans. And is there anything that you do or others do, anything you're required to do to tell people the downside of these plans?
I believe that everyone who sells these plans is licensed, and they're licensed with the Department of Financial Regulation, and there are, you know, disclosure requirements for all of these kinds of things.
The kind of issues that are causing people to get to the point of wanting or needing to change plans. The notion that they may be in a restricted network plan, and as a result, when they are sick, they can't get the care or coverage. Does anybody tell them that?
They're supposed to. Yeah, they're supposed to, and you're supposed to also be able to say, like, this is my doctor in the network, and we have to say whether they are.
So do they have to ask that, or, I mean, is there something that basically says, in the event that you get deathly ill, there may not be anybody in our network can help you, and you will pay a penalty in the event that you go, so, is there any?
I think there are requirements, I do believe there are requirements.
We're gonna have DFR, and
Yeah.
I'm assuming Emily isn't prepared today, but we're gonna have you in to talk about the requirements, the disclosure requirements, what brokers have to disclose, and also about advertising.
Before Sarah Lisa leaves chair, I just want to make sure I understand that people who are enrolled in Blue Cross Blue Shield products of any type can switch. When when they need or feel that their plan's not working.
So it's, I'm gonna say it a different way, 'cause
Okay.
it's broader than that.
Okay.
We offer a Medicare supplement plan called Vermont Blue 65 that anyone coming from any place
Okay,
can enroll in.
so
So
you have Medicare Advantage and it's not working for you.
You can enroll in Blue Cross Vermont Blue 65.
And pay no penalty.
You don't pay a penalty, but and we don't ask about your health status, okay? So we don't ask any questions about your health status, but the premiums are higher. So if you go to page 2 of the memo, I'll just give you a couple examples. The lowest price difference
Okay,
is for
some people were getting life habit. Okay, we have been informed that the smell in our room is not toxic. So if we can tolerate the smell, we can go back with.
I'm happy here, I'm not gonna say.
It smells pretty bad. For anyone that's come in, that's why we're in this small room. There's definite exhaust smell across the hall.
So,
Well, we'll get through with this witness and then we'll decide.
okay, so the bottom of page 2 in the memo, I can give you the slightest difference, is Plan A, Medicare Supplement Plan A. Vermont Medigap Blue is the product that you can enroll in the federal enrollment window. So 6 months of turning 65 or a qualifying event, that one costs $175.64 a month. If you enroll in Vermont Blue 65, identical plan, same administrator, same network, same everything. That one's $208.29. It's 18.6% higher, and that's because we accept people at any time. And then for a much more expensive one, it would be D or G, and you can see that those are almost 50% higher premiums, monthly premiums.
So I always have to remind myself the alphabet soup of Medicare.
I know, it's
So I think what I'm looking at is Part B is outpatient care. So it's services from doctors and healthcare providers and outpatient care. And so not covering that seems.
right. So when you
large.
enroll in Medicare, you get parts A and B from the federal government. And then this is a whole different alphabet soup, just to make it confusing, of
Okay.
Medicare sub plans. So these plans,
So this is Part B, Medicare Supplement
This is-
Part B.
that you're
Okay,
looking at.
we're looking at Part C. We decided not to call them Medicare, or whoever was doing the original presenting. These are all under Part C, which is the supplement to your regular A and B.
And D, which is drugs.
Yes.
Right, so, these, I mean, just to be really clear, Medicare supplement plans are highly regulated by the federal government. They tell us the numbers, they tell us the coverage for the various A, C, D, E, F, and G. We're providing the product, but it is, designed and regulated by the federal government. Okay. And we're not making up those numbers either. But the idea is that if you look at an A plan here in Vermont, it should look like an A plan in Massachusetts and Connecticut and New York as well. Because the federal government is overseeing things.
Senator McCormick has a question.
Well, you just started to speak again. You ready for a question or you did?
I'm ready.
You said that if someone is unhappy with their situation, there is an alternative available. Are they in any way locked into the old situation? But I mean, it's a contract, right? Do they have trouble getting out of the old arrangement?
I don't believe so. I believe you can stop paying your premium and no longer have
They don't want
coverage.
you when you get expensive either.
No, I mean, that's part of the contract between we sell you the product. When you turn 65, you're allowed to stay in that product for as long as you want to.
I'm just saying, are you
I don't
allowed to
believe-
not stay in it?
I don't believe we're allowed to kick people off our products.
Right, but I think what you're asking is, they don't have any problem leaving the Medicare Advantage plan. It's not that that company is saying,
right,
oh, no,
correct.
you can't leave
I
now.
understand now. Yeah, you can leave. It's more expensive to go somewhere else now.
Because you haven't been paying into somewhere else, and you can leave when you're having heart pains, and then Blue Cross or whoever is selling you your supplement, which covers a great deal that Medicare doesn't cover. When you go in at 65, you come on down to community rating. When you come back at 85, you are going to have a health condition rating to get back in. Blue Cross says there's an alternative. They offer a no refusal program. You can get in. It costs 20% more, but I'm sure the actuaries have figured out the additional risk because you don't want your insurance company going bankrupt.
So it's just 20% more, it's a static.
For A, and then C is 37% more, D is almost 50% more,
Okay.
49.8%.
I'm on the Blue
I'm
Cross.
sorry, you're on your phone.
website.
Oh,
Well, I'm on a Blue Cross website right now.
Okay, I put them in, there's two
Yeah.
sections and I put them both in a memo off
Okay.
the website.
I was just looking, it
I'm
says
sorry.
if you don't
We put
enroll in
them on our
Medicaid,
website.
Medicare Part B when you're eligible, you pay a 10% premium increase for each year you delay enrollment.
That's a federal penalty,
That's a federal penalty.
and that's a different one for not enrolling in B. So when you turn 65, you need to enroll in A and B, and that's a federal
And insurance
requirement.
has certain rules and risks that it needs to stay solvent. Because if it tries to be too generous and keep the premiums down, then they're gonna go,
No, I know, it just
So,
makes me
yeah.
wanna cry, like it's so complicated.
well, we've tried and this
Right,
committee,
so we oppose,
Generous, we say too comprehensive.
comprehensive.
so we oppose section 4, because what you're gonna do is raise the price of Medicare supplement premiums for everyone, even the people who buy when they're 65, so that people in Medicare Advantage can switch out. What we would recommend is that you keep it how it is, and people can enroll in Blue Cross Blue Shield of Vermont's product. If you feel that you want people to have choice of all products, you could mandate that every insurer offer a safety net product like we do. I'm not sure,
We
you
have
know, having tiny numbers of people in lots of different products all across different insurers is not as efficient, but it does give people more choice. And then a couple more things I wanted to say. Generally, Medicare Advantage, just to jump in on the first section where you're banning Medicare Advantage for state of Vermont employees. Like, I know that that's a decision being made between the employees and the union. The one thing that I will say is Medicare Advantage is a choice that many people need. And generally it's because it's less expensive. And so what I think everyone found when Blue Cross entered the market 4 years ago is that there were a lot of Vermonters who were choosing no supplemental plan at all. And that leaves them up to a huge potential financial risk if they get sick. And it's because original Medicare requires 20% copays on hospital stays. So the minute you end up in a hospital and you only have Medicare A and B, you could have a huge financial exposure. And so by having a Medicare Advantage plan, and there are $0 Medicare Advantage plans, you're eliminating that risk for certain people who can't afford to pay high premiums for Medicare supplement plans. And then
That's just for state employees on that section.
yeah, that's just for state employees, but everyone wants a choice, and I think that's just eliminating a choice that's important for some people.
I've been trying to get state employees in, I don't know if we will, we invited them. But I'm not sure they would like us making they're self-insured, I'm not sure they would like the legislature telling us what they can and can't decide to do.
I just wanted to clarify that because we were saying Vermonters want a choice.
Yeah,
This is taxpayer dollars.
there's people of all income levels who are state employees as well.
Oh, yeah.
Right. But it's a different calculation than someone using their private dollars than
Yes.
the taxpayer dollars.
And then on the advertising, we don't oppose having the Department of Financial Regulation, to the extent they're allowed, oversee Medicare Advantage advertising. We recognize that there are, you know, bad actors in this industry, and to the extent that DFR could do something to prevent, you know, those kind of false advertising, we're perfectly happy with that. I think As long as it doesn't disadvantage your local health plan in trying to sell our products, we're fine with it. And then I think you know this, but the effective date of this bill is July 1st, 2024, which would be really hard to implement any
Yeah.
changes if you're considering.
We haven't even gotten
Okay. So I think I touched on all the big things, and I'd like to leave you with the fact that I don't think this bill is needed because there already is a product that Vermonters can enroll in when they want to switch plans.
And it doesn't sound like, it doesn't, the problem, but we're gonna hear from the nursing homes. And I've been told that some of these plans pay less than Medicare or Medicaid, which is putting the nursing homes in the red already. That they pay very low. I've heard that it's a hassle to get payments out of them. But that's the provider's issue, not the patient, unless.
I guess I would ask that you don't lump Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Vermont's Medicare Advantage plans and policies in with all the other carriers.
And I know MVP has said they would like to talk because they have a Medicare Advantage and they say they operate in a very different world than the big national ones. And I would assume you're in there with them, that these are local companies and they are providing the things we need.
Do you have like a fact sheet of your rates, of your denial percentages?
We do, we're required to file all that with the Department of Financial Regulation, so I'm happy to give you that.
What we don't know is, and I know people who A, only have Social Security to live on, and B, can't afford any supplemental insurance, and that's an issue. Because, yeah, you do get stuck with, you get sick, you're sick, and you're gonna come out with a big medical debt. Okay.
All right, thank you.
So, committee, do you want to stay here or do you want to traipse back?
I would like to stay here.
It's a little crowded for folks, but I just soon, I think, let the air.
We're here.
Yeah, take another 10 minutes to go back. Okay, we are going on to 309. That is the relating to miscellaneous changes to laws related to the Department of Motor Vehicles and vessels.
Well, we're sitting in the right committee for it.
We are sitting in the right committee. These people are familiar spot. And I know, was it just last year we did this and we had like 3 sentences in
You have
the bill.
less this year.
Yeah, less this year,
Less
okay.
this year.
So, tell us what we're being asked to do.
Okay, so for the record, Anthea Dexter Cooper from the Office of Legislative Counsel. You have posted to your committee page for today's date a section by section summary. It's got 3 pages of short summary and then 8 pages of long summary. And then you also have a chart which explains the only section that has a fiscal impact, and that is section 13. And then you also have a fiscal note from Logan Muberry, which is going to tell you that there's like no fiscal impact to it. So I think this should be pretty quick.
Okay.
So in section 13,
Is it loading again?
hopefully it's up. Okay.
No, it keeps telling me that Safari is not working. I think it's my computer because, now it's up, okay. Good.
Okay. So under the law, in statute at present, if you do not use your plates on your vehicle that you have registered and you return them to the Department of Motor Vehicles, if you return it before the beginning of the registration period, then you get as a refund your registration fee that you paid less $5. If you return it within 30 days after it's been issued, you also get your registration fee returned less $5. And for a 2-year registration, if you return it before the beginning of the 2nd year, so let's just pretend you registered for January 1, 2023, so your 2 years are 2023 and 2024. So if at any point during 2023, after that first 30 days, you return the plates, you would get as your refund half the registration fee less that same $5. But what is not addressed in statute is the fact that there are some trailers that can be registered for 5 years. Under DMV practice, most of the branches are doing a prorated refund under that same formula, but not all DMV branches are. And there was someone who didn't get the refund, it was brought to the DMV's
The
attention,
next town did.
and now they want to correct it. So, under the amendments that you see, and it takes lots of lines to basically say, you get back the years that you didn't use, and that's the lower chart. So if you return it before, and this is for the 5-year registrations, before the beginning of the 2nd year, you would get 4/5 of the registration fee less $5. Before the beginning of the 3rd year, 3/5 less the $5, and you can continue doing the math. If you return it before the last year, then you're only getting 1/5 of your registration fee less the $5. So it's prorated at the proportion that you didn't use to the next year, less the $5. And I will put up Logan's fiscal note.
Perfect. So for the record, Logan Movary, fiscal analyst at the Joint Fiscal Office. And basically, given what FBA says, it was in the bill, given that the DMV is already doing this in practice and the very small number of it's just trailers that qualify for the 5-year registration, we are estimating there will be essentially no fiscal impact or a very, very small fiscal impact.
That's it.
That's it. Enough.
I might add that it'd be good to move it out today so we can get it on the floor this week.
Do you wanna move it?
I'd like to move the, I don't know, Chris Ray usually does it. I move the bill.
We vote S309 out Senator Chris McDonald. Okay, you got your sheet with you?
No.
Can you take
I can write
notes?
it down.
You can write it down, okay. So you have moved that we report S309 out favorably? Okay, so,
So, Madam Chair,
yes,
just, I wanted to ask if this includes any fees for EVs and road use maintenance?
It doesn't, would you like to answer it?
There's not anything addressing that in the miscellaneous motor vehicle bill this year. However, last year in the transportation bill, you did put the wheels in motion to have a mileage-based user fee, which would be looking at how many miles were driven between year 1 and year 2 on your annual inspection, and then you would be paying any amount per mileage driven. The Agency of Transportation has been working to get a federal grant to pay for that work. They're still working on it.
Oh, so while they're dragging their feet over there on that one, do we have anything for EV drivers to pay their so-called fair share of road use maintenance?
Under existing law, they are paying the same registration fee as an internal combustion engine vehicle, but they do not pay the $2 that go to the petroleum cleanup fund, and they would be subject to the gas tax to the extent that they use gas.
We're talking about EVs.
Well, it could be a plug-in hybrid electric vehicle that
sounds
sometimes,
Just talking about EVs, which eliminates to the extent that. So once again, we have a miscellaneous bill that ignores this issue.
okay, I think the answer I heard was yes, there's nothing in this bill
There's
about
nothing in this
EVs.
I yield to Senator Chipman.
Far be it for me to speak for the Senate Transportation Committee. I will say that the sentiment is that we are ready, that it is time to do that. And so it's not in this bill, but I think it is part of the larger transportation bill conversations, as well as this is gonna go over to the House. And if it's not this year, I think it would be next year. But I sense that everybody, the $112 figure has been floated around by Michelle Boomhauer to start charging the battery electric vehicles, of which there's 10,182 or so.
Which would be the average contribution of a vehicle using the roads in the state.
$1 million a year,
But-
which is okay.
The spirit has not moved.
In this bill, no.
It wasn't in last year's bill.
This is more like
Has
a
my full support.
housekeeping thing. You do it every year, it makes adjustments. I don't think I've ever seen a major policy change come through in a miscellaneous,
And that would be a big
motor vehicles bill.
There's traction. That'd be.
I'll have to speak to Senator Renner on how to put bills in.
Is she on transportation?
No.
Oh, I see.
Please don't.
Enduring ourselves.
Okay. We have a motion. We have no amendments. Is there any further discussion? If not, all those in favor of reporting S309 as presented favorably, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no.
Nay.
You're a nay. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 0, 1.
511.
5, 1, 1, yes. 5, 1, 1. Okay, who would like to report that, Senator? Okay, that was easy. May all the rest
Easier
of
than
the
last year.
meeting's easy.
Nothing with no collar
I'm
permits
sorry,
this
we
year.
have exhaust fumes in our, we've been told they're non-toxic, but the committee has voted to stay here unless that's gonna really inconvenience you.
They do central
You
track.
can join us. Okay. Wait, where'd everybody go?
Is there a next?
There is a next. Yes, and it's not till 4
Oh, right.
because we've got Representative Kornheiser and I think Emily and Kirby. A whole crew is coming down to explain. I do not know what H number or how they got an H number as of last week, but the
8-something?
802, 807. Anyway, I believe that bill is going to the floor tomorrow. They hope to put it in all stages of passage and have it to us by Friday. So she's gonna tell us what's in it in a little more detail than I have been able to do it.
And were you mentioning the timeline in our committee for that bill, or?
The time, well, I think all the schools know it. They had a meeting with all the superintendents 2 weeks ago. But we need to get that out so that it's finalized and schools know what the rules are when they're redoing their budgets or not redoing their budgets. It will allow until March 15th for a budget vote. The thing that I learned,
Would it go longer for a budget vote, or?
usually budget votes have to be town meeting week.
Right.
This seems to be giving them another like week or two.
Oh, just a week or
I
two.
think a month and a half. I thought April 15th.
I thought it was
Okay, I think one of them is April 15th. I've got dates mixed up from my school. There are issues with RIFs. That you have to do a RIF. I think March 15th is the first RIF. And their final date is like April 1st. So the school, I think the alternative, because I remember it being done once, is you send everybody a pink slip, which does a lot for morale. And doesn't really tell, if you are thinking, it doesn't tell that person.
I think it's the first of April, but
I think every contract is a little different, but there is one in March. And then after first vote, you have, if it goes down, you have so many days to let them know, but there's a drop dead date, which may be about April 1st.
So we're aiming to get this out before town meeting, right?
Oh, yes.
Or the week before that,
I think I would like to get it out the first of next week.
the first.
Yeah.
They're giving it to us Friday, but we're gonna look at the language starting
We're
tomorrow.
gonna look at it today.
Right,
I
was wondering.
all it is fixing the problem that got created with the mention of a 5% cap in 127. It's doing nothing to solve the increased property taxes or spending.
Just to hopefully expedite it so that it's likely that we don't need to make any amendments. There's this just really small thing I was raising earlier that I'll say on YouTube. I just want to confirm that if a school district does not choose to withdraw or to nullify the ink on the ballots and they go forward with letting that their currently warned budget be voted on March 7th and it fails, I'm just hoping that this language allows for their revote when a budget fails, you have to vote on it again to still be funded from that same pool of $500,000 from the general fund and not put even more stress on their already stressed fund.
Oh, yeah,
Does that
no.
make sense what I'm saying?
My understanding is that this is to help you with reworking. Now, if your budget goes down, I have a feeling there's $500,000 and, you know, if there's something left over from your first extended vote, that, because if your budget goes down, the town is on the hook
The town and the school,
The
because that's
school.
the school, and so I'm
Yeah.
hoping that the general fund would be
I
on the
think,
hook
I
for
have
that
a feeling
reason.
that if the money is there, it probably will cover it. It depends on,
That's my nuance, so if anybody's watching this, I'm hoping the house can, if y'all are,
I need to
whatever.
see the language, because
yeah,
I'm not.
that's, I think we do all need to see the language and the intent. And I'm not sure, I assume the Department of Education may be administering it. And if we do come up with a lot of second votes, and we've all, how will any remaining funds be distributed, under what criteria? Or will they all be reduced proportionately to cover the cost?
So if we get it out the first of next week, it goes to appropriations?
Yes. Yeah. Yes, but, this needs to be out
Yeah.
well before town meeting. Because you've got school boards all over the place trying to rework their budgets and, it's hard. I think we're gonna have, but then we've got to deal with the 20%. Once we see what they're budgeting, then, we have a bill. You're listening upstairs. We have to go back to our committee room to get the bill.
You're saying,
You guys can take a deep breath and check the air quality in there.
what am I understanding?
Hey, we're risking him. We should be sure it's not toxic.
Is that all you
But
need?
there's a very high exhaust smell in there.
So we are reconvening at 4.
Yes, that's when we can get Representative Kornheiser. I believe they're on the floor at 3 upstairs. That's their usual time.
I've got some car stuff to take care of.
Okay.
I might just zoom in. Do you mind if I head home and just zoom in?
No, you can zoom in.
Zoom home.
Zoom home.
But you got the thing. We've got 19 days to get out all the bills or not get them out. I think we can get them out.
That was,
I'm just not having any traction here with any of these bills.
Okay.
So we don't get them out if people.
Time does get away from
Yes, it does. But I don't know what's coming our way. Some years we get 10, 15 bills and, and
But we also have the extra week.
we have the extra week, but we, depends on how many bills come over.
Yeah.
From other, and, well, housing is, the House bill is gonna come to us.
Yes.
There's a lot, bills that we don't know about that.
Probably judiciary.
Anything with fees, anything where there's a fee in the original bill that was done away with 15 years ago, he will still send it to us. And we send it back saying, we don't find any change, but we could get a lot, and it could get to be, and if the renewable energy standard is coming over, that could take a while. And we've got to make a decision on the 240 amendments. For renewable energy, doing away with the aesthetics criteria, which means aesthetics wouldn't get considered anywhere.
Is that needed in the town plan?
In the town plan it would.
Well, that's the only
The
place
town plan,
considered here.
I think we also had testimony that a lot of town plans don't know what the secret wording is. If you say it should be there, it doesn't count. If you say it shall be there, it does. And maybe we need to talk, I think we will try and get regional planning in to talk to us about, I have a hunch that not many, if any, utility sidings have been done on the town designated spot.
Right.
I mean, I'd be perfectly happy to say no aesthetics if it's on a designated spot,
Right.
but
So
nobody's looking at it.
Charlie Baker from the RPCs shared the list of what constraints the enhanced regional energy planning process. So I agree, it could be said that when you take all those out, endangered areas of endangered species, FEMA floodways, vernal pools, Forest
Wait,
lots.
oh, but that was in the housing.
Well, he was answering the question because we asked it at
Yeah.
housing. That should we be looking at the regional energy maps when we
Yeah.
look at the housing maps?
That's right, I asked if while we were
Right.
planning all this stuff, if we couldn't put energy areas, we've got all these new mapping coming out.
Right.
And it's designating growth areas and non-growth areas, and I said, couldn't we designate good places for electrical or utility?
I agree with that.
And,
Nice.
but it may be more than they want to do. But it's not just, the industry needs to be able to cite where it's least expensive for them. And where they'd like to be is where there's three-phase power, which is on main roads, which is where the aesthetic impact might be the worst. So I don't know how we're gonna, or if we're gonna find a balance there. I haven't got us coming together. That is probably gonna be the hardest one. I'm gonna get, I've asked Senator Chittenden, since it was his idea, to get a draft to put a excise tax or a surcharge on streaming,
Oh, yeah.
streaming services, because the pole attachment thing
Right.
got to be a little too squirrely. And we got federal laws. This would be a nice clean tax, and this is what's causing the fee they get from the franchise tax to go down, because there aren't that many cable people now that are
Right.
going to streaming.
Yeah, I have to imagine like 0.1% tax on streaming would raise the money that's needed. It's
What was the target amount? It seems like
6 million.
that's what that poll would have attached, but I don't remember her saying that that's what they actually need.
No, I think, I have a feeling the 8 million might be a little high, or 6, whatever was in that. But we will ask her what she needs.
But we asked what a 1% sales tax on streaming service would raise. and start a
Yes.
conversation.
Maybe that could solve our education problem.
So we will see who we should talk to on that.
What was the name of the JFO guy you said? Who should you?
Oh, Kirby does taxes. Kirby.
Well, he's ledge counsel.
Yeah,
Is it Ted or Pat?
Kirby Keaton?
Kirby Keaton does tax drafting.
But then
He's the
he'll
new
tell
one.
you who the JFO.
Yeah, I don't know who the JFO person is.
So I'll just be late.
But it might also be Maria, because she does all the internet traffic.
That's true.
So we can check with Maria and see if she thinks that's something she can do, if Kirby should do it. I'm kind of trying to give Kirby a little, because he's been tied up in the housing bill.
Yes, you're grateful.
We need to give, yeah, Ellen a vacation.
Mhm.
Going to about 9 drafts of that bill we've been through.
Well, I guess the 10th one is this one, that's got Bill on it.
Yeah. Okay, so that's all I can think of. The obesity tax,
Like I said, I'm not gonna push further because I think another year or two will be instructive on
Yes.
the costs that states are facing. And
we've got states starting to set limits and cutting it back,
right,
and that one might not come out. So we will see where the rest of it goes.
Zane, do you recall the bill number for the poll tax that pegged the conversations, the poll attachment fees?
181.
181, thank you.
so I'm just gonna be a little late coming back.
Coming back, okay.
On slides.